A very good evening to all meditators. This evening I shall discuss about 4 kinds of Atta clinging. As long as one has not yet realized the true nature of mental and physical phenomena, through direct experience or personal experience, then one identify this mental and physical phenomena as a self or as a soul or Atta. So we have to keep in mind that the Buddha taught the profound teachings of anatta. So anatta means no self or not self. These 2 terms, anatta and atta, are not relative terms. It's different from conventional terms. For example, we say that hardness, softness are relative terms. We cannot realize the teachings of anatta through concept. We can only realize it through the practice of Vipassana meditation. So when Vipassana meditation means to develop or to cultivate insight knowledge by the practice of Satipatthana meditations. Without the practice of Satipatthana meditation, we cannot understand or realize anatta. We also cannot realize anicca, dukkha well. So sometimes people take something formless, or when they do not see any form or any shape, then they may think that they have realized anatta. When one see the form or the shape of a tree or table or chair, it doesn't mean that one has the view of atta, or because of seeing this shape or form. So, for example, when one see the disappearance of the form or the shape during meditation, it doesn't mean that one has realized anatta or seeing anatta. So as long as the notion or the idea that there's a self or soul in a person or in one's body, then this wrong view of atta would arise. For example, the Brahma in the arupa loka, or the formless realms, take delight without having no form, no shape. But the Brahma in the formless realm are not free from the wrong view of a self or soul. So only when one could develop insight knowledge and realizing that they are only nama rupa or mental and physical phenomena that exist, then one could overcome that notion or the view of a self or soul. So, as long as one has not yet realized the true natures of mental and physical phenomena, then one may cling to this self or cling to this Atta. So there are four kinds of clinging to Atta. The first one is the clinging to Asmi Atta. So in other words, one believes that inside one's body there's a living entity controlling or directing as it wishes. So, in accordance to the teachings, even a stream enterers, in other words, Sotapanna, still has this clinging to this Atta, or they still have Asmi Atta. So sometimes one may have the doubt or questions of why a stream enterers Sotapanna still has mana or conceit. But mana here means one who feels proud or takes a pride in what one has achieved or has attained. So a noble one such as Sotapanna still can conceive an idea of I have this quality. My morality is very high, very good. So this mana is due to the Asmi Atta. So this mana, also known as Asmi mana, in English means translated as I conceit. So it's not referring to false pride. So Sotapanna does not have false pride. But worldlings may have false pride. For example, a person may pretend that he's very virtuous, have good moral conduct, but in actual fact, he may not possess good moral conduct. So the worldlings may commit some evil or doing something unwholesome at the back or behind of the people. So sometimes the conceit of worldlings also could be extremes or excessive. So that's why in the teaching of Karaniya Metta, the Buddha taught those who wish to develop metta must be endowed with the qualities of anati mana. So those you may have heard the chanting of Karaniya Metta, where the Buddhas taught that one should develop 15 qualities before they begin to develop metta or before begin to practice meditations. So, for example, Sako or means one should has the quality of able to do it. Then Uju means upright, or Suhuju means very upright. Very upright means like very straightforward, very honest. Then Buddha say obedient, gentle, and not conceited. So, uju upright sometimes also refer to the effort. For example, new meditators maybe put forth a lot of effort, has a lot of enthusiasm in the practice. But after practicing for quite some time and maybe have been joined 2-3 retreats or 3-4 retreats, then sometimes they may be not getting good results in the practice, or they could not get much progress. Then the effort and enthusiasms become less and less. So even they join retreat again, they may not put forth the same amount of effort, the same level of enthusiasm into the practice like the beginning. So in a way, the commentaries say such a person is lacking the quality of suhuju, or to develop, to become, to develop or to cultivate in order to gain this very upright conduct. So one should put forth effort, increasing effort, the interest or enthusiasms getting stronger and stronger. Then one would be endowed with this suhuju, very upright conduct. So not conceited means anati mana. So mana means conceit. Ati mana means extremely conceited or excessive conceit. So when one has mana, that mana is a defilement. It's also a hindrance to the progress of meditation or spiritual training. But if one conceit or mana is excessive or extremely high, ati mana, then do you think that person can make progress in meditation or spiritual training? So that's why the Buddha advised one should endow with this quality of anati mana, or one should not have excessive conceit or extremely conceit in the practice of Dharma, or such as meditation. So after preaching the Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta to the group of 5 bhikkhus, all of them attain Sotapanna, but they not yet abandon this Atta clinging. That's why they still have this conceit of mana. So Buddha had to teach Anatta Lakkhana Sutta to them in order to remove this Asmi Atta completely. This mana can only be uprooted completely when one attain arahantship, or the highest stage of enlightenment. Then the second kind of clinging to atta is known as nivasi atta. In other words, one has the notion that there is a living entity permanently residing in one's body. So some people believe that there is entity permanently staying inside the body. Then they have the notion of false view that this entity or this Atta, after passing away of a person, this Atta will transmigrate to another body. So in that way, one falls into the view of eternity. But some others believe that this permanent, this Atta exists since the moment of birth till the time of death. After death, this Atta will be annihilated. So in that way, one holds on to the other wrong view. This is known as view of annihilations or Uceta Ditti in Pali. The view of eternity is known as Sasata Ditti in Pali. So so when one doesn't understand the true natures of mental and physical phenomena, then one would have this wrong view or notion of Atta. So that's why the Buddha has to teach Anatta Lakkhana Sutta in order to remove the wrong view of self. Then the third kind of clinging, Atta clinging, is known as Karaka Atta. Karaka Atta clinging. It means one believes there's an entity or soul that responsible for one's physical actions, verbal actions, and mental actions. So one may think that there's this soul inside me giving command to me that do this, or what to say, what to think, and so on. So do you think that there's a permanent entity or soul directing your actions? So when in the practice of mindfulness meditation, when mindfulness meditators make progress, they may be able to realize there's an intention arising, then there's a movement happening, or sometimes there's a intention arising, then an action or activity will take place. So this intention is also one of the mental processes. It is also a natural process. So do you think that there's a self or soul behind this intention, wanting to do something? So it's also a natural process. So sometimes some meditators may explain it or experience it as a command or command. This intention command the body to move. But actually, all these processes are natural processes. This intention is a mental state which also has the characteristics of arising and passing away. The intention is also arising and passing away by itself. Then it's because of this intention, then there's a movement happening naturally. So in other words, a process of movements is taking place naturally. So this process of movements is also another natural process. So this physical process also subject to arising and passing away by itself. So there is no self or I or person giving command to the body to move. So we can say that it's just a law of cause effect taking place at that time. Then the four kinds of Atta clinging is known as Vedana Atta clinging. So in other words, one has the notion or belief that there's a self which feels the sensation, or whether the presence or unpresence. So when meditators could not mindful of any sensation well, for example pain, then one may take the pain as a I. I feel the pain, or my pain, and so on. So that's why the worldlings suffers a great deal when they experience physical pain or mental pain, because they take that pain as a self who experiences the pain, a self or I who feels the pain. But one who has experience of mindfulness meditation or Vipassana meditation, they may not suffer all that much. If mindfulness meditators could mindful note pain well, then they could realize the true nature of pain. So is this painful sensation a mental process or physical process? It's a mental. So that's why when meditators are mindful of bodily pain, or sometimes bodily present sensations, they should be very precise on the process of sensation. So the location of the sensation is not important. Sometimes meditators perceive the location of the pain, but when they are mindful of the pain, they should be very precise on that painful sensation. They should not focus the attention on the locations. If meditators focus the mindfulness on the location, then they may not be able to realize the process of the painful sensation well, or the process of any sensation well. So meditators have to mindful of the sensation as it really occurs. If they could mindful of the sensation well, for example pain, then they come to realize pain is a process by itself. The mindfulness or the noting mind is another process. So this is also an experience of meditation. Mindfulness meditators need not have to purposely to separate the mindfulness with the pain, or they do not have to purposely keep the mindfulness from a distance and watching the pain. So sometimes some meditators think that I can keep my mind from a distance, or either watching the pain near or watching the pain from the far away. This is not the way of mindfulness meditations. You think you can control your mindfulness that way, then it's also involved the idea of self or I. So we have to develop the mindfulness by following the principle or the guidelines of the practice well. We have to be mindful and note every object or as it duly occurs. We do not try to create an object or deliberately make the object clearer. We have to put effort to develop the mindfulness or to strengthen the mindfulness. So when there's a progress in mindfulness, then mindfulness will be able to see every object as it duly occurs. So we cannot realize anatta through concept. For example, there are explanations of anatta by giving the similes such as chariots. So, as you know, when there's assembly of various parts, then you have this notion that this is a chariot. But when one dismantles the various parts, then this notion or idea of chariots will disappear. So this is understanding through concept. This way of understanding is difficult to remove the notion of self that is lying deeply in your mind. Or sometimes they explain by analyzing that this body constitutes the 32 parts. So they start to analyze if this head, hair, kesa is you or self, or if this body hair, loma is you or self, and so on. So this way of understanding is also through concept. In the Mahasatipatthana Sutta, there's a chapters on the reflections or mindfulness of four material elements. So there, the sutta mentioned, just like a skillful butcher or his apprentice having slaughtered a cow. So before they slaughter the cow, they have this notion that there's a cow. Then when they cut into the various pieces of beef, then that notion of cow will disappear. Then the Buddha say, when one reflects upon this body just as it is, then one would realize in this body there is earth element, or water element, fire element, and air element. So if one doesn't understand the teaching well, one may think in the mind that this body consists of these four material elements, they are not self, and so on. So this is also understand through concept. Then quite many people understand anatta as beyond control.
บางคนก็
Do you think a person understand that anatta means beyond control? Then he can realize no self or not self thoroughly. Beyond control is only one of the aspects of anatta. But even they take this state of anatta beyond control. Sometimes they may not see it correctly or understand it correctly. For example, there was some meditators who thought that her experience, also her experience of one of her experiences in meditation, is also an experience of anatta. So there was this yogi who was practicing at Morbi. So she was experiencing good practice, has good concentration, experiences calmness, peacefulness mind for a few days. Then later on, her mind became very restless. Could not the calmness, peacefulness gone totally. Even she tried her best to mindful note, yet the mind very restless, thinking continuously, not only for one day, but last for 2-3 days. And she did not know the reason or the cause of restlessness. So she asked another meditators for advice. Then the other meditators say that this is also an experience of anatta beyond your control. So that's why nowadays in the practice of Vipassana meditation, quite many cases of taking some experience, certain experiences as anatta or experience of anatta. So something beyond your control does not mean you experience anatta. So in the practice of meditation, only when meditators could realize the specific characteristics and the common characteristics clearly, then they may be able to realize anatta. So to realize the specific characteristics, meditators also have to attain purification of mind. In other words, the mind is free from 5 mental hindrances and other mental defilements. Then meditators begin to realize the specific characteristics of the phenomena clearly. For example, there's only movements, movements as movements, or heat as heat, or pain as pain, and so on. Then meditators realize that there's a process of the noting mind that cognize the phenomena. So there are only a pair of processes. There's nothing else. There's no self or I or involved in this phenomena. And then they begin to realize that the arising of the awareness or the noting mind, they are depending on the phenomena. And in the practice of walking meditation and mindfulness of daily activities, they also begin to realize that there's an intention arising, then there's movements, or sometimes they also could perceive that before the intention there's another wanting mind arising. Sometimes there's a wanting mind arising before the intention, or sometimes there's no wanting mind, there's only intention, then there's movements, then there's intention again, and a process of movements. So this one thing, we can mindfully know it as one thing or as a desire. For example, Samyasayadaw say, we can know it as desire. The intention before the movements can be noted as intention. when we know desire, actually there are sometimes the desire doesn't mean desire to do something. Sometimes the desire is about the sensual desires. For example, sometimes we instruct meditators, when you have desire to look something, you should mindful note desire, then you will not look again. So why in this case we say you mindful and noted the desire, then you should not look or see. What's the reason? It's a sensual desire. If meditators like to look here and there, then they will cause a lot of disruptions to the mindfulness, and also the hindrance of sensual desire will become stronger. So when meditators could overcome that desire to see, to look here and there, then they know it attentively, they may realize that the mindfulness would become stronger. Even some meditators say, I look with mindfulness, actually the mindfulness will be gone quite a lot. So even during sitting meditation, when meditators experience pain, they may realize there's desire to move or to change the sitting positions. If they can mindful and note desire well, then they will not move also. So if meditators follow the desire to change or to move, then that mindfulness will become weakened. But if the pain or any physical discomfort becomes stronger, the intensity of the pain getting stronger and stronger, and is unbearable, sometimes meditators may stop the sitting and stand up mindfully and practice walking meditation again. So in other words, meditators have to take whatever object or whatever arising and happening at that moment as an object of mindfulness meditation. So when meditators, mindfulness is attentive, precise, then he could see clearly that every object arising because there's a condition, and every object is arising and passing away very instantly by itself. So if meditators realize every object is arising and passing away instantly and constantly, then they also realize the characteristics of dukkha. So we cannot realize anicca, dukkha, anatta by thinking or by analyzing. We have to take the object internal as an object of meditation. If meditators take an external object as an object of mindfulness meditation, they cannot gain direct experience because there is no contact with the body. Only something come into contact with your body and mind, then you can gain direct experience. So when we mindful of seeing, hearing, and so on, we have to mindful of that consciousness of hearing or conscious of seeing. For example, if you have to realize the impermanence of the sound or noise, sometimes it could be very frustrating. What happens if the noise or sound keep going? So you think you have the intention to realize the true nature of sound, Then if the sound lasts for 1 hour, you may have to note for 1 hour. But when you can mindful note hearing well, then what will happen? So you may realize the hearing consciousness arising and passing instantly. So when you realize that the hearing consciousness is arising and passing away, do you think that the sound is permanent or lasts for a long time? So you may infer from your direct experience that the sound also arising and passing away instantly. So sometimes meditators realize that there is no long process of sound or a long process of noise. But when meditators could realize that the hearing consciousness is arising and passing instantly, they would not realize. They realize that the process of sound also does not last long. Sometimes they realize that the sound, as a bit of sound appear, consciousness appear, they mindful know it. Then hearing consciousness disappear. Then there's a little bit of sound or dot of sound appear again. Then hearing consciousness arising. Meditators noted the hearing consciousness also disappear instantly. The sound also disappear instantly. So in that way, meditators realize that there is no object that lasts even more than a moment. So when meditators realize that every object does not last for more than a moment, the mindfulness also arising and passing away very instantly, then they would make more and more progress. So in that way, meditators also going beyond the concept eventually. At the beginning of practice, we do have this concept. We cannot go beyond concept at the beginning of practice. So when meditators practice is going beyond concept, then they could realize the Paramatha Dhamma clearer and clearer. So only in the Paramatha Dhamma they can realize these 3 common characteristics correctly or truly. So I wish all meditators are striving diligently so that you could develop mindfulness well, and eventually you could realize the Paramatha Dhamma clearly and achieve your spiritual goal.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.